All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. And now we have Alex and then Daniela with blockful. Please give a round of applause to these guys here, guys.
Hello, how are you all? I hope you guys are enjoying ETHDenver. Well, let's talk about governance security beyond code. Like we have seen like contract audits for a long time, but we don't talk much about governance security, like delegation rates, slow rugs, collusions, bribes. So we are going to navigate political, social, and economic attack vectors in DAOs. How can we protect the DAO ecosystem? How can we prevent the DAOs to be drained? How can we make DAOs, create longevity for DAOs? Well, I'm Dani, I'm from Brazil. I'm product manager at blockful, also delegate representative in Arbitrum and Scroll, and part of Balancer Opco. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex, CEO of blockful, also a ENS meta governance steward, and yeah, let's get into it. Well, about blockful, our goal is to prevent governance attacks, creating cutting-edge research and technology to prevent this. Well, where it basically started. So in February, actually 2024, we were already active in ENS governance, and so by being active, we saw the numbers of the amount of tokens that were participating on governance, which were basically 4 million out of like 100 million total supply, 33 million circulating supply. Only 4% was delegated, and inside these 4%. These 4 million, only 1.5 million of these tokens were actually participating in a governance. So imagine that like a company like with shareholders, right? And only 1.5% of the shareholders are actually taking decisions. And so with that, we started questioning ourselves, what are the consequences of that? Like, what does these numbers means, what are the risks, and so this started quite interesting research. So why governance security? As you can see in this chart, the blue line is basically the assets that the DAO has in ETH and USD. So these are liquid assets. You can like, it's different from the governance token. Right? The governance token has an amount of liquidity. You cannot sell everything. So these are liquid assets, the blue line. And then the orange line is the value of all delegated tokens. So basically all the tokens that participate on governance. And so with the research we have done, we uncovered this critical scenario of vulnerability inside the ENS DAO, which could have led to 150 million theft at one point. And this sounds like a theoretical attack, but it's actually something that is quite common in DAOs. And attackers in the past have done much more complex attacks for like lower values. So it's actually like a pretty real risk. And not just that, like the economical vulnerability is actually just one part of the attack. The other one is the governor implementation. And so this was quite critical, the one block voting delay. What this means is basically the attacker with enough voting power, he could basically propose the vote, and the vote that could move the whole treasury to himself. And one block later, he could vote in this vote, right, and dump the tokens. He don't need the tokens anymore because his vote was already casted. And so it could be really like an instant attack, or a quite quick attack with just one block of delay. So it's really hard to defend against that, because token holders, they don't have much time to react to that. They don't have much time to delegate tokens to another delegate or to themselves, so they can vote against this malicious vote. So one block voting delay, it's something quite critical on that attack. And so you see it's not only the economic vulnerability, but it's also the governance implementation itself. One other point is the cancel function. So in the ENS governor, there was no cancel function, which is also not helpful. And so the ideal here is that after a malicious proposals come in, you could somehow make another voting for cancel the malicious proposal, right? Like a normal voting, but that's also not enabled. And so, yeah, once the proposal was live, once the proposal is live, there is basically no counterattack you could do to defend. And so, economical vulnerability plus weak governor implementation, or at least governor implementations that have these type of characteristics, it's like a really easy attack. It's like a vulnerable situation to be in. And so the midterm solution that we proposed was the Security Council. So after identifying this scenario, we proposed the Security Council, which is basically 4 out of 8 multisig that can veto any type of proposal, but obviously only malicious proposals, so that's subjective. But in the code, this Security Council can veto any proposal, and then the understanding of what's malicious, it's of course subjective because you cannot enforce on the code. Also because if you see some other attacks, like the compound attack last year, it's quite subjective, right? Like some people say it wasn't an attack, other people say it was. So yeah, like governance attacks, they can be quite subjective. This is a bit of more detail of how the Security Council looks. So we don't want the Security Council to have a power for a long time, or like make them. Let's for example do a proposal for. So now we don't need the Security Council anymore, right? If they can veto this proposal, they stay in power forever. So one quite important aspect is that anyone can revoke the Security Council power after 2 years. And with that mechanism, we ensure that we don't concentrate the power too long on the Security Council. So we need to come up with a solution for one and a half year more, because this was 6 months ago. And yeah, this is the current state. So last year, when this proposal was live, this was the situation of delegation on the DAO. So liquid treasury, again, the treasury in ETH and USD was 120 million. The value of all the delegated tokens, which is delegated cap, was 65 million. And the value of the average turnout, the tokens that usually participate on voting, they were around 24 million. Meaning that if you use the average turnout as a metric, you could basically do a 5x profit, right? It's like crazy. But then other mechanisms can also be used to lower the cost of this attack. So some examples of that is if you know you're attacking the DAO and it will be a successful proposal, you can also short the token in exchanges. You can short the tokens on futures. You can also just do some incentives for getting delegations, because all you need is delegation. You need the power. You don't need the token. You need delegation. And other aspect is maybe you could go to Aave and borrow some tokens as well, so you don't have economical skin on the game, right? You just borrow some tokens and use their power to submit this proposal. So for sure, you can make the attack cost lower and lower the more different mechanisms you use. And so this led to a longer research, more than 30 DAOs, and this keeps growing because, I mean, smaller DAOs, they are easier to attack, and we cannot track all the DAOs. So we mapped more than 30 attacks and DAOs, and what we learned, these are like the main learnings, are that attackers, they are really, really creative. Like, it's so crazy. An example I can give is some attackers bought tokens from FTX after the crash through an auction. And they used the attacks from, like, it was like a Mango Markets, like Solana DAO, to approve a proposal to rebuy the tokens for a higher price from them. So they basically profited on top of the DAO, participating on an auction from a bankrupted SEX. Like, look how crazy it is. Like, so attackers, they can be really creative. We cannot like subjudge their creativity and intelligence. Normalcy bias is more present than in smart contract security. So we are more used to invest on smart contract security risks and audits for feeling safe on smart contracts. But on governance, we have a lot of normalcy bias, which means basically it didn't happen to me yet, so it will not happen, right? That's a cognitive bias. It's really common. And that's really present in governance attacks. And people think that governance attacks are only about a 51% attack. I mean, it is, but it's just like a small portion. You need to analyze much more than 51% tokens an attack to have an effective risk assessment of different scenarios. So that's just the surface.
Thank you. So what are we doing with all those problems we have seen in governance? Basically, we are acting DAOs, doing this governance security-oriented approach. We act nowadays in ANS, Arbitrum. We are acting as well in Uniswap Foundation, Shutter Network, Optimism and Scroll, as delegates, services providers, but also as a grantee. As you can see, Uniswap Foundation announced like a nice grants for governance security. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Why is this so important is that since DAOs exist, already 400 million have already been taken from the market just through governance attacks. And I'm not including the DAO here. The DAO was a code attack. We are including governance attacks through politics meetings, governance, collusions, bribes, and so on. And our purpose here is to defend the ecosystem. If it had existed a few years ago, this 400 millions will be here in the market right now, like boosting, empowering builders within the ecosystem. And I'm not talking about like a high value here for the market, like in comparison with we all have in the market, for sure, 400 million is not that much, but we would have fewer people questioning the legitimacy of the DAO ecosystem right now. And as you can see, people are bearish right now, unfortunately. And what are we doing? So how does anti-capture works? Blockful developed anti-capture, which is a service and also a product. We do research, and also we are building a dashboard. It's not live yet, but soon we will be live. So you can see all the data from DAOs. And this research basically analyzes all the aspects and particular aspects of each DAOs. We know that we have different governance models. We have different way of treasurers, different way of delegations and delegates as well. So we analyze even how delegates act in each proposals. Here is a bit of what we analyze. It's a bit small, I know, but we analyze DNS, collusions, bribes, if the DAO has like a meta protocol as well, which kind of front end they use to vote, liquid delegation systems, and there's a bit of our dashboard as well. We have governance activity, token, SEC supply, DEX supply, so everyone can see how the DAO is going. And very soon we are going to have the extractable values. So the DAO, the head of governance, can see how much it costs to attack the DAO, which is very interesting because they can see before the DAO being attacked and what they can do to prevent that. Here's a bit of our principles. So how we can make profit by attacking this DAO is our first thought. But we are red team hacker principles, we have that. So we are going to be offensive, try to attack the DAO, but as we are white hat hackers, we are not going to do that. We are going to know how to attack the DAO, but we are not going to attack. Meaning that if the DAO offers us $6, and we know that if we attack the DAO, we can have 100 millions, we are going to accept $6 in order to not attack the DAO and save the DAO. This is one of our biggest principle here, white hat hackers. Meaning that our principle relies on save the DAO. We relies towards the longevity of that DAO. Thank you. Yeah, here's a meme. Love memes. And here, how are we helping the ecosystem? Mainly the Ethereum ecosystem for sure. Providing DAOs with actionable steps. So now we are not only going to give the DAOs the data. Here's the data. We are going to be attacked soon. Take care. No, we are going to give them actionable steps. Hello, you need to increase your delegation rate. You need to find meetings to do, I don't know, delegate incentives in order to have more delegates active in your ecosystem.
Governor updates.
This second is very, very interesting, is that we are creating stages like L2Bit. We are going to be an L2Bit, but for governance security. Defining stage 0, stage 1, and stage 2. So you can measure governance security and create a standard and a structured, safe path for DAOs towards security. Prevent market losses. I already mentioned before about the 400 million, so we're going to prevent that, and the DAOs will be safe to invest on builders, invest on their own ecosystems, and working towards DAOs longevity by preserving the treasuries and their ecosystem. Here's a nice meme I did. I don't know if I'm able to handle Lazarus hackers, but this is our goal. And here's our Twitter. If you want to get involved, you can be our early follower. Anti-capture Twitter is already live. By following us, you can receive links. You can get in touch with me as well. Text me on Telegram if you want to be a tester. Very soon we are going to open the anti-capture dashboard so you can see all the data, give me feedbacks. We are in that phase that we need feedback to improve the dashboard. And we are going to have something very, very nice that you'll be able to support. So if you are part of the Arbitrum DAO or, I don't know, Scroll DAO, you'll be able to vote, to sign a petition to show that you want that DAO there on the dashboard included in order to see those data and stay calm and sleep very well knowing that the treasury will not be stolen. So that's it. That's us. Thank you so much.